We have friendlies galore today, which have been named for Canada. Jamaica has World Cup qualifiers, but no friendlies prepping for Copa America. We have CAF World Cup qualifiers coming in June. The Champions League just finished their quarterfinals, and hey, some teams made it, some teams didn't, but ultimately, we're here to talk about that here, guys. Welcome to the Africans, where we talk about African, Canadian, and now international sports. I say now as if we haven't been doing that beforehand. We're joined by our favorite Mr. JD from the IMAX It, We Max It crew. I like to call it the crew because he has multiple channels. I'm waiting for the They Max It's, the You Max It's, all the Max It channels, JD, make them up. We're here to talk about what's coming up for the June window. Before we get into that, guys, let us know in the comments below, what matchups are you excited about? Who are you looking forward to see games? And, you know, if you want to, give us a like, a subscribe, a comment, a follow, whichever you see. But, JD, it's a Thursday. You survived yesterday's Champions League quarterfinals. You're still in one piece. No, not many tears were shed. I'm happy to hear that. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Thanks to everyone that's watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, man, and join us to the what I would say the 1,000 subscriber place, and keep on pushing it, you know, because we know that this type of contents are not the over the top saturated contents. So I know that once you reach there, it's fully deserved. So definitely subscribe, guys. Yes, man. As I've said, the UCL yesterday was fantastic. You know, we saw heritage, as what they have always said. We saw quality teams coming through. So a lot of things we have learned, and to be honest, tactics works at times. God help teams at times, which I never had the belief of. But that's the only thing that helped Real Madrid yesterday. So, yes, I'm going to stop it right there. But we are here to talk football. Yes.
We are here to talk about football. Yes. And again, for those of you who are wondering, yes, JD does support Man City. So it's been a time. It's okay, guys. I support Wolves. So I don't know what European football is. It's a theory for me. I'm just like 12th in the table always. Cashing in those checks. And glad that we aren't always using Portuguese youths again for teams. But I digress. We're here to talk about national teams, not about the Premier League. But so earlier this week, JD, we had for Canada, and we'll kind of tie in Jamaica with this conversation as well. Canada announced its second friendly for the June window. They are already playing the Netherlands. They're going to be playing France. So Netherlands on June the 6th. Then they're going to be playing France on June the 9th. Then that's going to lead right into Copa America, where they play Argentina. So that's 3 top 10 teams in a span of basically 3 weeks that they'll be playing. And then from there, heading towards the Copa America. And then they have Mexico, and reportedly, hasn't been said officially, the U.S. a little bit later on in the September window. So the Canada has a good set of friendlies and games coming up. On the flip side, you have Jamaica, who have, I was wondering why they hadn't announced any friendlies yet. And I remember they're doing World Cup qualifiers. So they have qualifiers playing Dominica, and then I forget the other country. I want to say Dom Rep or it might be those two. But they have played those two. But then there's nothing between that. Then they have Copa America coming in, where they have Mexico as their opening matchup. I guess we'll start with Canada, because Canada's the more intriguing aspect of it. When you look at the opportunity to have, so they have France, but then before that they have the Netherlands. How how do you read this from someone looking from the outside looking in? Canada deciding getting basically 3 top 10 teams in the span of 3 weeks. Is this good for them to prepare for Copa? Are they asking just to get walloped? Is this going to impact their confidence? From the outside looking in, how do you see this?
All right. So the approach that I would have always taken on this matter, it has to be it's good for them
Mhm.
because they're going to go into a tough competition, which is the Copa, and they're trying to find teams that can mimic the styles. Some of them are, all of them, the styles that they're using actually fits for the group that they're in. But
Mhm.
also these are higher level competitions. So if you have risen your game to any one of those levels, even if you do lose the matches, you might gain a little bit more when it comes on to the crunch time. And remember, they're not just planning for this Copa America. They are trying to plan for also the World Cup as well. You get me? And also other games to come, like other competitions to come in the region, because they're fighting United States and Canada, even and Mexico. And
Mexico, yes.
now you have a Jamaica coming up, and you have a Panama there already. So I think these games will just always do better, good for them. Just period,
Mhm.
just do good for them. And I am really loving it that they have picked these type of teams. So it's not about, oh, we need the victories. No, we need to
Mhm.
get our squad tighter, get our youths them more education. So when the time comes, that's what matters more than anything else. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say. So these games are going to be good games for them to work out things, and we truly see where Canada is.
Mhm.
That's what I think these games are for, and I think it's fully deserved.
No, and I think that's fair. I think ultimately, like you get, it's a good measuring stick. I've heard that word said a lot. Not to say that I think Canada is anywhere close to the top 10 in the world in terms of teams, but I think it's good to see where they are now. They're off of the high. I mean, I would have loved to see where it comes to where they would have been right after the World Cup, because I think their confidence was at a high after the World Cup. After that, I think it's kind of gone. So it's good to kind of test your mettle, see where your ranking is, see how you play, and again, like you said, learn things from this. I think that Federation at this point, the note about this is all these games are away for Canada. They're not hosting a single one of these games, which means, I mean, right now this is one thing I do believe. I don't think we have the right facilities to host a major international team in the country. Uh, BMO, where TFC plays, is only about 18 to 20,000 max. Our biggest
Mm-hmm.
stadium is a turf field, and I can see if some teams wouldn't want to play on the artificial ground versus a
Yes,
grass
yes.
field. And I think probably if 2025 comes and they get the grass in to Vancouver, then you may see some more high profile games coming in. But I think right now, for where they are, and especially to get some influx of appearance fees, not to mention test your metal, I think this is great for them. The other thing that I don't think they'll do, but I think would be good to do is to look, they don't necessarily, I know they're going to say they want to prepare for Copa America with those 2 friendlies, which is great. I'm always one who says, hey, if you're in such and such place, do what such and such do. If you're in the Netherlands, see if there's like one or two dual nationals that are there. Just bring them into camp. You don't have to play them, but get them integrated, get them familiar, see what their level is, right? Kind of do that. I know in the Netherlands, a name like Simon Colin or Jonathan de Guzman's son, Jaden de Guzman, who's at, I think he's at PVSV. I could be wrong on that. So someone correct me if I'm wrong. I do apologize if I got that wrong, but he's there. It wouldn't be a bad player just to bring them in, just kind of have them see the camp. They were doing that with some young center backs from the Prem, Jamie Knight LaBelle from Bristol. They have Luc de Fougerel, who got his uh, cap tie-in for in against Trinidad game, who's at Fulham. So it's good to see those players come through. But I would love when you get the opportunities to go away, take these opportunities, take a couple spots to see those players and see kind of what they can go from there. So I'm pretty excited about that. Speaking of young players, unrelated to this, Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Jebison back training today. Happy to see that for the young man
Nice,
away from the pitch for a
nice.
year. So I'm glad. Just get healthy, my boy. Keep running, and let's see where your future holds wherever you decide to play internationally, wherever that is. I'm just happy that he's back on the pitch. So I'm happy to see that. But I like the opportunity that this gives them, and it's going to be there. I think also because again, when you're looking at Jamaica, Jamaica has a team, and I'll ask you the Jamaica question afterwards. But it's hard also for me to evaluate this stretch of games because I don't know who the coach is still. That's still the question for Canada. It's still Biella has the interim tag, so
Yes.
he's kind of in a lose place because I personally don't think he's shown enough to be the full time manager. But then
Okay. Okay.
if he
Mm-hmm.
gets results, then he shows that he's done enough. And I don't want to be stuck in a position where it's like, well, he got results. Like, let's just play hypothetical. If he wins, let's just say crazy, he wins 4 out of these 6 games. That's a better resume in terms of wins
Mm-hmm.
than in terms and not her. I think Herman's the better coach, but that's a better resume of wins, a better portfolio of wins than Herman's ever had because Herman had to only play CONCACAF teams. Does that mean I think Biello makes the better team? I don't think so. But it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
evaluate this because if he gets the job, but he does poorly here, we hold these results against him. But then if he doesn't get the job, it's just like, well, just get the most out of this team. But then you have 6 games against good sides that you've essentially just you bring in another coach into a new system. So it's kind of hard for me to really evaluate the squad overall, just because you're dealing with a coach who is sitting there in the interim, and by all accounts, it doesn't, from what I've read at least, doesn't feel as if he's going to be the coach coming in. For you evaluating an interim coach, I mean, I know you guys went through that when Paul Hall took over for I already
Paula
forgot
took
his
over for Whitmore. Yes,
Yes,
Whitmore.
Whitmore.
Yeah.
Thank you. I forgot his name already, but yeah. So like from him that in that time frame, and then ultimately go with Holmgrenson. How was that evaluation period like? Because to me, this is foreign territory for me for a while. I know we had the Stephen Hart days back in the day, but how would you approach this? Kind of looking at how they are going at these games and moving there.
I think using Jamaica for anything is kind of it's very hard because
Mhm.
Jamaica, I think when it comes on to these footballing things, I've not always gone to the Jamaica route, like the
Mhm.
footballing route, because I don't think Paul not getting the job was directly to football reasons. So
Okay.
it was not nothing what he had to do on the field, but more other things to it. So that's why I would leave that. The perfect example to use is Mr. Algrimson. Algrimson came in, he showed what he could have offered against Argentina, Cameroon, all of those teams. He showed that what he could have offered throughout that
Mhm.
period, and showed that yes, oh, maybe you're not going to get the flashiest type of games, but you're going to get some level of quality nonetheless. You understand me? Like
Yeah.
maybe in a defensive set, you're going to get that. So you could have seen exactly what would have come. Because if you look at, for instance, in Argentina game, you clearly saw that they are trying to get a tighter defense, and it would have
Mhm.
come because the coach's style, and it maybe if you add the right pieces right there. So that's why I would say that even if they don't get the results in any one of these matches and they look like they're organized enough, I think that
Mhm.
might be the basis where they do give him the job, and he would have deserved it because these are better teams. So if the results don't go your way, but you could see some understanding working out, and it looks similar to for instance, the system that he wants to use is the three at the back. All
Yeah.
right, and you're seeing some quality out of that three at the back, a three of the back. And it looks like it can translate in CONCACAF. I could see them giving him based off that rather than just saying that okay, you never got the results for Canada, so I am not going to give you because you're playing against France, Netherlands, Argentina to get some results. No, I wouldn't base it off that. I would base it off, okay, how transcendent is your style, and how transcendent is your style, period. So that
Yeah.
all translate to the team itself. And where do we see ourselves in 4 2 years time, 2 years time from now? That is what I would use to give him the job or not. And based on what I am seeing so far, I wouldn't write him off so fast. I would take my time in assessing the coach before writing him off. That's what I would say still, even if the results don't go his way in the first 3 games.
No,
but
and yeah,
the pattern of play is actually better. That's
yeah.
how I'm looking at it.
No,
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, and I think that that's a fair way of looking at it. I think from my perspective, unfortunately, he's only had Bielo's had he had the Japan game, he had the two Jamaica games, then he had the Trinidad and Tobago game. And Japan, that's your first game, that's fine. Jamaica, the first game was a game where I mean equal on the pitch, but then ultimately I think there were two let-offs that happened. One cost Canada, the other one cost Jamaica the game. And then in the third against Jamaica at home, there was just no adjustments. And I think that unfortunately is what's going to stick with a lot of Canadian soccer fans, which is you had the game, you saw how was making adjustments. You didn't really adjustment, even in the substitutions. They didn't try to adjust the style or anything. It was just a like for like, and that kind of ended where it did. And then they played Trinidad. And against Trinidad, yes, they played their game, they played well, but they didn't look good. Like they looked very they look like a machine that hadn't worked in a while. Now maybe they just need some more time with this current coach. And then maybe that gets the gears moving, that gets everything greased and ready to go. But unfortunately, for the two most important games that he's played in, it feels as if that the team, though they got the results, it felt like they were fighting themselves for the results to get there. And I think that's what I'm holding against the coach as it speaks, as we're kind of going. So that's kind of where I'm kind of feeling and kind of going for there. But let's just say hello to a few people who are here.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Sheridan up in the building. Thank you. I know everyone has one eye here and one eye somewhere else. It's okay. Someone
Mm-hmm.
will lose in penalties. It will happen. There we go. JD, you clearly made it as your family pet is here. I will
Yes.
leave that there.
It's the person that owns that account is the one that is always never sleeping on YouTube. Yes, ever available. So I know who it is. Yes.
Wonderful. What CAF team is underrated? We'll get to CAF teams because I think this window is going to be a big window for specific teams. The Mali Ghana matchup, I think, is going to really set into rule that group, but that's neither here or there. Bless up. Haiti football, appreciate that. And love those friendlies, really good for them. It's challenging. Yeah, you have to challenge yourself ultimately. I know sometimes when people say it, it comes across very arrogant, but you do need to, after a while, you need to leave your neighborhood and go play someone else, right? I think, look, CONCACAF competition is unique in itself, but every once in a while, you need to step out of that and then play someone to see, okay, you may be good in this region, but how good are you now in this other region? Or you may have a standing in this region, really more the specific thing, because everyone is good relatively to the next team or worse to the next team. But I think playing different styles, I think that's very important. I'm surprised they went this high of a team. Once they announced the Netherlands, I was hoping maybe like a Greece or like a Scotland would have been like the next best game, a good solid side, but someone that you maybe was closer to your level. But I do appreciate that we're going just highest quality possible always, which isn't bad. I do appreciate that aspect of where we're going. So, guys, let us know in terms of your countries, which teams are you happy? Are you upset with the friendlies that you have or the games that you have going up for that June window? JD, when it comes to Jamaica, like
Mm-hmm.
we said, they don't have friendlies scheduled, but they do have World Cup qualifiers. That doesn't mean that they don't have time for friendlies. They can slip in a friendly right before COPA America. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how the
Yes.
schedule breaks up. But from where they are currently there. We are there. It
The
is
sixth,
here.
the sixth, you should
Yeah,
have
the
the
6th and
first
the
match against
9.
Cameroon.
Yeah, Dominican Republic and then Dominica on the 9th. Then they have nothing
Mhm.
until that Jamaica versus Mexico for Copa. So there is enough time for them to put a friendly somewhere like the 14th, 15th area.
Mhm.
I think
Yes.
'cause I know
Yes.
Colombia is doing that as well, and a few other
There
teams are.
is time.
Yeah.
There is time, but as you know, it, I think Jamaica is still sorting out a lot of things like
Mhm.
organization problems and stuff. I know it's important times, ahead, but Jamaica is not it was not like an organized situation coming in. They're building as they do go. So the coach have a set plan, and the federation just finished election, so they have their plans as well, and they have to try find that little gap. We heard Peru saying that they were trying to work a way to get Jamaica to play them, which would be important, really, really important. But it looks like it fell through at some stage. But maybe the timing that they wanted to get Jamaica was not available, because you have to look at players availability, because if Perry wants the best players, them the best players for Jamaica are not people inside Jamaica just playing JPL. They are
Mhm.
professionals worldwide, which I would assume that most of Peru's team is professionals worldwide as well. So I just, maybe they could match that date, or the coach just didn't want that, because sometimes the coach himself has his plans. So I think I will come down to say the coach has his plans, and maybe it just never fit in his plans, and they try to take it aside from him, and it just never worked out. That's what I would say at this point. And if they don't take the friendly, I am not so bothered, because when I've looked at it, we don't have so much other qualities that we're trying to find. So it makes no sense taking a friendly before the six. All right, before the six. And in that little loophole now, yes, we can have that argument that we have the Mexico, and on the 22nd, African. So it is not so far. I think I would still give them the time to work out what they want to do for
Mhm.
Mexico without playing any friendly. I think these two World Cup qualifiers could be used as the friendlies. And then you
They
go
could
back
be.
to the yes, I think it best you use that for the friendlies, rather than saying that you need an additional friendly to get the job done. I would take that. I think it makes sense as Jamaica sets up at this point. It's not like we
Mhm.
have a more fluid federation like Canada, even though you can say Canada has their problems, but Jamaica has more problems than Canada. That is just the truth. And
Mhm.
you just brought in a coach. You're not sure if you're going to take this coach. We have that coach. We just have the same federation returning. So I think with what's given, I think it's perfectly fine. It's not perfectly fine, but it's okay. I will accept
Mhm.
not getting the friendlies in between there, and I'm okay with the
No,
two
yeah.
games them coming.
No, that's true, and that's fair. I think you also, it's the end of April. You still have time. It's not like, it's not, if this was May, I think you'd have much more of an uproar, because I think you could say you had time to organize something. I think ultimately they will try to get something done, maybe the 14th, 15th, that 16th, around that time, because that now brings in a new question, which is, okay, how are you, if you have Copa, but then you also have World Cup qualifiers, are you bringing effectively 30 players that you are then 30 players, but then half of them are coming in directly for Copa, but then the other 10 are coming in directly just to get experience to play for qualifiers? Or are you going to treat this as, we're taking our best 23/25, we're bringing them in, they're going to play Dom Rep, they're going to play Dominica, and then that same group's going to go in and they're going to play Mexico, Ecuador, and Venezuela? Like, what would you do if you had the opportunity? Would you try to give a bigger pool than split it, get some more players some playing time, or would you just say the Copas? Not to say that World Cups aren't the priority, but you're using Copa, the World Cups, to get ready for Copa, and you're just using that as your launch pad.
As we've said, Jamaica situation is very much different from everywhere else on planet Earth. So
Mhm.
the only thing I could go with is to say that what I'm going to do right here, the same squad has to go to the Copa as well, because it's just 2 weeks in between, included travel. So because we know that we have those problems here and there, what I would have done is, okay, shop my tool workup qualifiers. That comes first. We get the two victories. We talk to the guys them, and then we just jet off to the Copa America, and that's just pretty much it. We have no other ways to send back anyone, to call back anyone for more playing fears and stuff, because we just don't have it. So what are we going to be doing? We have to just work with what we have. So I don't see two different squads. I don't even think we have one more different player added to the World Cup qualifiers as different from the Copa squad. I think it's the same damn squad. period, unless you have an injury. That's it. Because the money, pain and stuff ain't working. And you should have known that, Africans, but it ain't working. Unless injuries, that's the only way they're changing someone from that listing. Period.
Yeah. No, and I think that's fair. I do wonder what I would do in that situation. Maybe if we have any more Reggae Boys fans in the comments, let me know what you would do in that situation. Would you just use your World Cup qualifier roster as your start off because you have Copa, or would you try to find a bigger pool of players and bring them in? I think using your location would be good. I think Dom Rep is at home, but then Dominica is away, or is it flip flopped, JD?
Damrep, no, Damrep is at home because,
Yeah.
and that's why people liked it, because it's one of the difficult games, or one of
Mhm.
the more challenging games. I think Dominica won't be as challenging. I'm open. All right, I'm open.
We're
Yes, but
hoping. Yes.
and if it is, that means we have a serious problem. That's all I'm going to say.
Mhm.
So yes, Damrep should be at home, and Dominica away. So I think the same squad is okay with a few more, not even two, just 2 weeks in between. I think that's perfectly fine. You have to just give up some of the holidays and say, all right, two competition, we smash it, and then we go back and have a 3 weeks break with our family, and then go back in camp. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think that would be good to go through. But yeah, I do find it interesting just to see how, because of the proximity to it, it's interesting from the Canadian perspective because we're not thinking World Cup qualifiers, so our time is a little bit more expanded. You don't have to think about those types of matchups there. However, now when you look at them here, it's just how do you go through? But I did see some comments on roster, so let's kind of go through those here and friendlies. Haiti football saying the federations are madmen. They rejected friendlies with Australia, Russia, and Venezuela because they think they're not a challenge. This is absurd to me. Well, if Haiti says they're not a challenge, I have questions. If the other three said Haiti wasn't a challenge, I think they could still offer a challenge. You need friendlies regardless, one way or the other. So conversations to be had. You have a new team, you have to have friendlies. I agree there. With a new team, with a new coach, you need to get as many opportunities to see players because if the coach is trying to, because again, if you're CONCACAF and you're a new coach, you're walking straight into most teams are walking straight into qualifiers. So you have to be a little bit more ready and more going from there. I think Owen says we need more players. So Owen is going for let's go with a bigger pool of players, get some players there, and then go player. I think it could be a little bit of both, says Haiti football. DR is recruiting from Spain. Everyone is recruiting because again,
Yes,
you have
yes.
you have three spots to make it, and this is your best direct route in. So if
But how
you
much? But Africans, how much time they have with those players as well? Maybe not so
that's
much,
the
and
big
that will
question.
make them not as fluid as possible. You understand me?
Mhm.
So maybe the challenges that they would have come in with, if they had the time, it might have been better. But let
Mhm.
tell you what, quality players can perform regardless of the conditions. Obviously, a better condition would have given them the best outcome, but maybe a smaller outcome, a smaller level of productivity would be would be okay just the same. But let's see. That's all I have to
No,
say.
No, that's true because it really does come down to I think not necessarily top quality players, but I think the type of player you bring in will always affect it. And I think when it comes to that group, you're just trying to get top two to move on. So most teams are thinking, I think in Group E, if most people are looking at that group, right, that's Jamaica's group with Guatemala, Dom Rep, Dominica, and the British Virgin Islands. You're thinking, you assume Jamaica makes the top of the group, and then you're fighting it out for the second. So giving yourself those opportunities to make it through. I think most teams are looking at it that way and saying, "Hey, we just need to get top two, and if we can get to that next round, it's a similar thing to what Canada tried to do in 2012, where it was if they got the result against Mexico, then they would go then they would get a bunch of players to come in. That's when like the Guzmans were supposed to come in. That's when Junior Hoylett was supposed to come in, and then they didn't get the results, and then they didn't go. So I think teams are thinking, if we can get past this, maybe that opens a door for more players to come in. So we have a few coming now to get it, and if we can get over the line here, maybe that opens the door. Then you have that. Plus, you have the Gold Cup next year. Plus, you have Nations League and things. I think ultimately that opens the door for those players. So I think they're just trying to survive in advance and make it through, which I think is good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Jamaica is a sure lock to beat Guatemala still, but I
Mhm.
would say we are the favorites to go over them. Yes, but that should be the battle to fight for top spot. Period. So they should be first and second. All right. I would be disappointed if Jamaica comes second, but it's not impossible for us to come second because Guatemala is not a team that is a walkover. All right. So that's what I
Mhm.
would say right here. You get me? But it's going to be a good group, and I expect
Yeah,
it to come down to those two teams.
I
Last
do
time we
too.
played,
Yeah.
it was a 1-1. It was a 1-0 slight win for Jamaica, but Guatemala looked the better team. Have we
Mhm.
improved? I would say I will look better, of course, against United States and Panama. So I need to see us back again against Guatemala to see how it really will work out. But I'm not going to jump to disrespect them. I will
Mhm.
wait until something else presents itself because we saw them together and they look better than us the last time. But a lot of things have changed, which I think is for the better for Jamaica.
Yeah.
So maybe we will look even better than them this time and also win it. You know?
Mhm. No,
Yes.
I
So,
agree, and based off what you're saying there, I think I'm leaning towards what you were saying, which is if that's the case, keep the group together.
oh
If you
God.
have if you have a couple more if you have a couple more players coming through, that's fine. But then just I'd say keep the group together and then go from there.
No,
Um,
no, no. It's the penalty shootout.
I know.
Leon Bailey go up and missed. Oh God.
Oh
Yes,
no.
so Jamaica
Well,
can't leave him down now. So they should have just scored it and pretty much win it.
yeah.
And Leon Bailey brought back Lil in it. So if they ever lost it, oh God. Continue. Let me continue on that smooth groove.
We all
Oh God.
have two eyes. We have one eye here, one eye on that game. Don't worry.
Oh
My
Lord.
Canadianness is watching Jonathan David get a penalty. Don't worry. Don't
Jonathan
worry.
David scored already. He scored already.
I know he
Yeah.
did. I know. I'm
He
happy
was the
for
one
him.
that brought them into that little position. So Aston Villa need to make it 5-5. Need to make it. Need to
Yeah.
score or else yes. So good. Aston Villa came back through. So Lille need to score now. Yeah.
That they
But
do.
yeah, so for Jamaica, I'm excited for what's to come.
Mhm.
I am not really over the top like most people. Or it sounds like Jamaica will beat up everybody. I have not seen that from Jamaica. I think Jamaica is in the pipeline of doing things, but we have some good players. You understand
I
me? And we have found a good system that we
mhm.
can look like a team. That's what I was most impressed with more than anything else. You know?
No, I agree. I think if you take the Nations League into account, I think as a defensive team, you saw enough improvements. I'm not going to say that they are a solid low block team because there are a lot of missed opportunities, but you see the improvements that Hogwarts want to make. My thing is when you have a team that you aren't that you're going to be able to get the ball from, right? A team that's going to say, "Oh, you have the bigger players. We're going to sit back and we're going to defend." Can you break that team down? If you can't play in transition, can you do that? And I think that's the next evolution from the outside looking in at Jamaica because I think they have the talent to do so. I don't know if they have the setup to do it. I think their setup is to be defensive with offensive players, which I mean, we always make this comparison, but ask Nigeria how that goes, right? If you have 12 strikers, they're all going to want to strike. So there's not much you can do about that, really. So I think ultimately they need to be able to take that next step, which to me is playing on the front foot and putting a game away. Because I think against some of these teams, they will have those opportunities to do so. And some of these teams are just going to sit back and say, we're going to try to keep it close and escape. And I think if Jamaica continues to struggle with that, that'll be their undoing in World Cup qualifiers and then ultimately against some of these Copa America teams that are here. But guys, let us know what you're here. I know we got some comments here just about
Hmm.
um, where people are getting teams, players from. If you're coming from a lower level, says Haiti football trending, second division. I don't think it elevates your team that much. I'm referring to the Liga. Um, they heard the Liga. Okay, so they Owen Owen and Haiti football are talking. So I think there's opportunities there for them. I think if I was, I understand why you want to bring a bigger pool. I think a bigger pool is better just to get some more players integrated, and then maybe you go from there. But I think it might serve Jamaica better just to say, hey, here's your 24. or 25. We're gonna roll with this group, and then this group's gonna roll into Copa after that, and use that as an opportunity. Because I have a feeling that as we get closer, you might get a couple, one or two teams that say, "Hey," or one or two players to say, "Hey, you're playing these guys, let's go." And
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a feeling. I don't have anything that tells me any otherwise, but I have a feeling where I say Peru, Paraguay, or Colombia, one of those teams on like the 15th of June. Then you have three South American teams in Mexico. I think that's enough for someone who might be on the edge, sitting on the edge, to come in. But I think we'll see that as it comes. But again, Jamaica has some time to go through before they reach their ultimate of Copa America going. We have a lot of things to talk about. We're 35 minutes in, guys. Thanks everyone who's been
Yes,
here.
just some updates. Lil lost because even though Liam Bailey missed his penalty, Benjamin Andre missed his one or saved in the end. So
Yeah.
that and David Luiz, also Douglas Luiz came in and scored to win it. So they have advanced 2-1 normal time. 2-1. Aston Villa scored back in the last 6 minutes to get themselves 2-1 and 3-3 an aggregate. So he went to penalties and Aston Villa prevailed on penalties.
No, they did. So Aston Villa on to the semis. Da, 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 da. So that's where it
But the fight
is.
will be about Leon Bailey missing a penalty.
Yeah.
We know that.
Well,
So I don't even want to look at that. I just want to move on. Yes.
yeah.
Because none of them did watch
Africans.
the majority of
Africans.
them didn't watch the game either, JD knows it but don't want to say it. When it comes to international competition, talent matters as much as chemistry. That's why it's hard. Yes, I no, I have to make sure I choose my words wisely, especially when we have certain conversations, and I'm trying to have it properly, and I'm on African's platform, so I have to respect his platform,
What? I deserve respect? Katie, thank you.
Yes,
I
I have to
appreciate
respect his
this.
platform, I'm trying to go the decent route, Yeah.
A decent man's route, yes. So
Yes.
I mentioned a lot of things are coming up in June. You have
Let me
Copa
get the
America,
cuff
the
up.
Euros are happening. We are the Africans, so we wouldn't be the Africans if we didn't talk about African World Cup qualifiers, because it gets hot for many good reasons. And I look, the Ghanaian bias is going to come here, but JD, I'm telling you, that June 3rd window, Mali versus Ghana. If Ghana doesn't pull a result here, we are in trouble. We are in
Well,
trouble.
Ghana have always been in trouble as it relates to football of recently. Still, I'm just saying that, that's just the truth. So, I would not be surprised if you're not in you came out of this match and said that you are not in so much trouble. Ghana teams have not been performing. Big boss, I am sad to tell you the reality, but continue, sir.
We have some. So outside of that game, which I mean, I'll touch on a little bit because the fear is real here. You have some good matchups coming up. Libya, Kenya, Burundi, Seychelles, Gambia. Not much. DR Congo, Senegal, Rwanda, Benin is a low key nice matchup because I think Rwanda could cause some trouble for Nigeria's group. Equatorial Guinea, then Tunisia, a good performing team at AFCON versus a team that kind of disappointed. Burkina Faso versus Egypt, another good matchup. The games are here for June 3rd, and that window, and then one that we won't forget, this bottom half here, JD. Look at these matchups. Nigeria versus South Africa,
Yes.
Cameroon versus
Incredible.
Cape Verde, Guinea versus Algeria. The matchups are going to be tasty. I like these matchups very much. I'm very much excited to see them. I know you have the Nigerians who follow you because you do provide a good content, and you do. I think you do a very good job covering the
I
Nigerian
am
content
trying. I am trying,
objectively, very
Yes.
objectively. Um,
Yes,
I'm
very,
waiting for
very
someone to come into the
objective.
chat now
Very.
just to yell at me for no reason. Just because I'm like, Like,
Yeah. So stop, don't run over. I think you should have gone to art. Let me go through the games, them Africans. Let me go through the games, but I want you try to skip off Ghana too fast. That's
okay,
what
let's
I
go back to
realized.
no, 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 no.
Act like you want Ghana to. Let we make the prediction. The prediction. We need. You
Okay.
can't just talk about. Oh yes, Ghana. If they don't win this game, well, we need to talk about the game.
Well, let's talk about
Because
the
it's
games. I'm
important.
here.
Yes, it's important. So stop act like you want to avoid talking about it. So, anyways,
I don't like
Ma-
pain.
Mali proved that Mali proved that they're a good team. And I can tell you those 1-2 slick passing from
Mhm.
Mali. Oh God, they're gonna tear up. I'm Ghana. So
And no, and on that note, JD, I think the problem when you're looking at this from a Ghanaian perspective is you're on your third coach. Well, technically your third coach, but technically
Mhm.
the coach beforehand. They brought back Otto Addo, and to that I say, then why did you make all this noise? All like I said this, I made a video about this. All this noise, and you just brought back your ex. Like, come on now, do better. But I think there's a you like it from the standpoint of he's more familiar. He's also familiar with the group. He has his favorites. That's not a problem. And in terms of adjustments, that's the one thing I'll give him. In games, I've seen him make better adjustments than Chris Hughton was doing. So I like that. But now you're trying to get a group together in June to go against another group. There, it'll be tough. Could I see him pulling? I think their best case scenario here is pulling a draw for Ghana against Mali. I think they can pull a draw. I'd be
All right.
surprised if they got a win, but I think a draw is their ceiling here.
But
Ultimately,
but but
mhm,
I got to ask you that question now. How is
yeah.
it we are talking about Ghana, which should be one of the staples of the region, and all we can do is just pull draws against all the other teams, and that they have more talent than now. What is just stopping it? Is it federation selections causing the problems? What is the problem with Ghana?
Yes, it's the Federation. It's straight up the Fed. For me, it's the Federation because um it's everyone will have their comments from me the outside looking at, and it's the Federation, it's the coaches that they select. Like, I'll put it this way, JD, there was a protest about the Federation where it was like save Ghana football, all these things, okay? And then when they named the new coaching staff, the one former player who said, hey, the players, the Federation's not doing a bad job, okay, they're doing very well. Why is he
Mm-hmm.
an assistant coach now? Why is he an assistant coach? Like, I know he has his paper, but it looks very interesting. It looks very suspicious when the one player who has his accreditation to coach, let's not pretend he is an accredited
Mm-hmm.
coach. It's not just a man. It's, hey, we are here. We're gonna do this. It's that Ghana's federation has issues. Whether it's still not paying the youth girls, or being late on payments for the women's team, or whatever, they have their problems, and I think that's where it has leaned into it, for the point where even sometimes the conversation is, oh, we want these players are versus these players, but then players will look and say, no, I don't want to deal with this. I'd rather just go somewhere else. Right? You have a conversation with, especially like the Dutch Ghanaians, right? Jeremy Frimpong, he's just like, oh, maybe we should get him for right back, and he's just like, no, I'll just stay. No, don't, please don't call. I think we've not done a good job in terms of playing. I also think in terms of letting a group grow, they've done a bad job. They've let a generation kind of linger too long. And before someone jumps and says, "Oh, I don't like the AUs," it's not just the AUs for me, but it's just, I think they are the prime example of, you hold on to, and we talk about this on the women's game, JD. When
Oh,
you hold
yeah.
on to a generation a little bit too long, I think those players have done the program well. They've served well, good and faithful servants. They've given a good shift. But right now, I feel like that their time there, they blocked more players getting in who could have had good opportunities to perform. And now you have younger players who are trying to break into the side. Right? Mohamed Kudus is the best player on the side. No one is debating this. But it's okay. Now, how do you build around that? Right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is my conversation. I have this conversation with my brother all the time. It's like, well, there are good teams. Like, no, they're really not. They're the 14th ranked team in Africa for a reason, right? They are a staple of African football, but in the same way that a staple is a staple of a office space, there are more important things. There's there's computers, there's pens, there's printers. The staples used to be you needed it, but now it's just like, no, I'll take a picture and send it to you. I don't need a staple and fax it. I'm good. So I think Ghana has to get better there. I think they really need to improve in terms of just everything. Administratively is where I would put a lot of where the issues are. I think I think they have talented players who would want to play for them. I think the admin and the way that things have operated before have been more of a hindrance for that. And I think that has ultimately led, amongst other things, primarily hanging on to a generation a little bit too long, have left them in a spot where they're trying to transition. Like they're gonna try to qualify, and you're gonna see two AUs on the final 23. And there's no
Yeah.
reason why they should be there. Yes, they're playing well. I don't have an issue with Jordan being there. That's fine. But also the style of team that they have, you have a bunch, and I said this at the World Cup. My one problem with that style of side is who is your best passing facilitator of the ball, right? Kudus is a modern 10, in which in more
Hmm.
cases where he's really more of a second striker than he is a 10 creator. He can create, but he is more of a second striker or a winger who cuts in, that inverted winger type player, right? So that's one. You look the other wingers, right? Fatawu's playing well. So is Suleimana, who are playing well. They are wingers who like to cut in and shoot. Iñaki Williams is a nine who needs to be fed. JD, I could pull up a compilation video of Iñaki Williams making runs and everyone else
And
saying,
nobody
I
gives
could
him.
exactly. And then everyone gets upset when he goes back to Spain and he scores goal after goal after goal. It's like, well, when you
Yes, yes,
feed
because
a man at a buffet, he will be satisfied. If you don't feed him, he doesn't
facts,
move.
facts,
So
facts,
I think
facts.
there's some team strategy things that need to work on, but I think the administration needs some work. And they just reelected them, so this is what we're dealing with. Ultimately, I think if they do make this World Cup, it won't be because the administration; it'll be in spite of them. Um, but
Yeah.
but Africa's improved. That's the other thing. Like Ghanaians are like, well, we shouldn't be losing to these teams. Like you know that this continent has decided to invest in the game too, right? like Mali just didn't just decide, oh, we went from soft soap to like being a real team overnight. They worked on these
Facts,
things.
facts, facts.
And
And
and I think it speaks for it. Yeah, go on.
the Afghan proved that most of these teams, they work through their things. South Africa and those teams work through their things and their plans to come here. So it's not
Mhm.
by accident that they're beating bigger teams. It's because they have set up a better infrastructure. You just fed off you being historically good, and you have historical players. So you expect to win. In a lot of federations want to win in spite of them doing the right thing, and they rely on
Mhm.
the players them to get through that. So that is the problem that I'm seeing with a lot of countries. It's not the federation helping them. And that's how some of the younger teams catching up Africans, because the federations are doing better and they have a set system with their players, not necessarily even close to the good players of the other big nations. And that's why I see, that's where I do see Ghana really get that problem, got captured in that problem. I think Nigeria slightly getting it, but Nigeria just have some superior, better footballers at this point, so it kind of bailed them out. Oh,
It
sorry,
kind of does.
I said
No,
it
no,
wrong.
no.
It
No,
kind
no.
of,
It did kind of bail them out, JD. We won't lie. But like, I
yes,
mean, that's the perfect example of that. Like again, I can do an hour on Ghana, just rang it. But like, let's talk about CAF. Like, let's talk about Afghan. They start a goalkeeper who wasn't even the starting goalkeeper at his club, and they said he's our number one. Like, and he hasn't played in a year, and they say he's our number one, and he decides like JD, you want a case study on how to Arsenal and Ghana that this year have gone to the same place of how do we bottle things, and it just I'm still upset about it, but I'm just over it because I just can't complain. But there's loyalty to things in too long, and that's it, right? There's loyalty to players who, yes, maybe serve the program well to 5 years ago, but it's 5 years later, and Like there is no reason that Ivory and realistically, Ivory Coast wins AFCON this year because Ghana bottled it. Because all Ghana had to do, all Richard Ofori had to do was not touch a ball that was deflected and going out. And it bounced in front of him. And then
Mhm.
every fiber in his body was like, but I must. And he touches it. Mozambique scores, and then Ivory Coast wins. And hey, deservedly so. But hey, I'm not saying say thank you to us. I'm just saying we bottled it for you. No, we don't need flowers or anything. No coup marteau, nothing like that. We're good. But it's just this team is. Though I did have a conversation with my other brother who was like, it's probably a mental thing, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think they don't know this group. It could be mental because they do. Maybe the pressure's too much for them, and maybe who knows. But they are a side that will, whatever the simple solution or the simple outcome is, I know they're taking the harder one. So I'm just always
That I
every
can agree on.
game, and it's frustrating. That is frustrating. But so I think Ghana's best result is a draw against Mali.
A draw.
Gambia, the Seychelles, I think they should get. You pick a game, JD, in these next. Actually, DR Congo versus Senegal. That is coming up there. I think that's where an
They are
interesting
Congo
game.
versus Senegal. I would say so. For Ghana game Mali. I think all right. You give your prediction on that one. I'm gonna wait a little bit more, get some more information on as to what's going on because I need to see Inaki Williams and also Kudos what they're doing and how they do look when it comes closer to this time because that is going to be important. If they can get Inaki Williams in this game, in this team, just like Kudos, I do think that that's the solution going forward. But let me wait and see. But I think they're gonna get something from it. At this point, Mali and 4 points. So Mali just want to stop Ghana from getting a win out of this and get a draw or something, and they
Yeah,
are still there to get into a good position to go forward. I
no,
think this
agreed.
is Ghana must win game to push
Agreed.
themselves back into the conversation. So I think it's going to be tough, but I think they should get the edge, slight edge over Mali. I'm gonna sorry for them and give them that little sympathy look, But
Sympathy wins. Hey,
Mali
I don't
ain't a
want
small
sympathy
team.
wins. I'll take. I know
Mali ain't a
Somali's not a
small.
small team. They're
At
real.
least now they ain't a small team. All right. So DR Congo, Senegal. Who are you going for? Let me make some quick breakdown because we are coming up to the hour, and I
Yeah,
know that
true.
you're strict on your hour time.
I'll let it run over, and if we can get some more African talk here, I think Senegal, DR Congo. I think on paper you go Senegal, but I think this ends in like a good goals draw, like a 2-2 draw for me. I think that game ends like in a
Ooh.
2-2 draw.
Okay. Okay. So let me.
I'm giving Senegal the respect I give Ghana in the sense that I think they are a good side, but I think they're gonna have like a couple hiccup games. I think this will be one of them, and then I think they'll have maybe one hiccup year before they kick back up again because they have names, but their names are aging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sadio Mane is the name, but is he the same player that he once was? Right? Mendy he's a good goalkeeper, but he's the same goalkeeper he once was. Right? They still have a solid squad up and down, but I think they're getting older and integrating younger players. They will take their lumps and their bruises before they're able to perform. So I think in a game versus DR Congo where you have players who are there, I'm looking at Cisse to do something for me here. I think they can get that 2-2 draw out here.
Okay, I think I'm Senegal at the top at this point and goal difference. Sudan is
Mhm.
right behind there. DR Congo showed that they're a good team. Togo could be a problematic team from time to time, but I think it's between DR Congo and Senegal. Sudan proving that they could cause some problems. So let's watch them. But if Sudan becomes more involved in this, I do believe that's gonna go down to the wire. But I think Senegal will beat DR Congo. And I think maybe by 2 goals as well. I think they have not regressed to that level. for me to say that they have serious problems and they want to make a statement in this qualifiers, because they weren't the best when it comes on to the Afghan. All right, so I think they are going to be here trying to redeem themselves. So I'm going with them beating DR Congo. Yes, I'm going to go with that one.
That's fair. That's fair.
Ooh, a next good game down there.
What's the good game you're seeing there?
In Burkina Faso versus Egypt, because Egypt, most of those teams, the Egypt, the Morocco's, them, I think they have dropped off a little bit, So these teams, Burkina Faso, could cause a big problem right there. Tunisia, Equatorial Guinea, that's going to be a next good game. Yeah. So those are my two good games right there. Zambia versus Morocco. I think Morocco, well, that could be a next good one. So you look at those three games.
I think Egypt will hold fast against Burkina Faso. I think they have a little bit of steel to show there. So I like them getting the result there. Equatorial Guinea, Tunisia. I am very curious to see how Equatorial Guinea looks against Tunisia, because Tunisia didn't look good, and if Equatorial Guinea can now look good against that Tunisia team, that makes that group very interesting to me, because then you're looking at, let me find their group here. Because, yeah, it's the top two teams in the group right now, which is very interesting.
Yes.
So I think Equatorial Guinea, if they can get a draw out of this, I think that bodes very well for them. A draw is a win, I think, because then they're separating themselves more from, especially Namibia and Malawi. Those two teams, I think, will give them the most run, and then they can start to guarantee that second place finish, or be in the running for that second place finish, as long as they keep on getting points. A draw, I think, is what they're going for there. And then the third game that you were talking to me about, Burkina Faso, I said I think Egypt takes it.
Okay. And Zambia, Morocco?
Zambia, Morocco, this should be, I think Morocco just had a bad, I think Morocco did everything but score in their elimination game. So I think those goals that they left on the pitch, they leave in Zambia with the copperheads, and they can build something with that. The Queens are good, but the other ones aren't so much.
Let me move on to the final sets of predictions. All right. Oh Lord.
I do want to say before we get there, this Rwanda versus Benin matchup, I'm curiously watching that, just because Rwanda right now is at the top of their group. That's a group with Nigeria in it. So Nigeria's in third in that group. So if Rwanda can get a win in that game, I know Benin has a draw and a loss, but a win for Rwanda, that sets them up well. That sets them up well. And I think they're going to be a team. They're going to make either South Africa or Nigeria have to work for that one of those spots. So I think Rwanda, if they can keep getting them space, I like this side. And I think they might be one of those teams that we're looking at saying, could they maybe get in? I think Rwanda might be that side right now, but we'll kind of see as we get there. But let's go down to those other matchups on the third. These are the ones. These is what you came for, JD. Yes.
Yeah.
This is what you came for.
Cameroon, Cap Verde. Oh my God.
See that matchup, Cameroon, Cap Verde. If this was Cap Verde 2 years ago, I'd have no issues saying that team would give Cameroon a good run and maybe a draw is where it is. But they're 2 years older. Cameroon has a little bit more youth here. I still can see this as a draw, but I think Cameroon edges it out here. I think Cap Verde is going to give a lot of teams trouble, but I think Cap Verde, they're just a little bit too old right now, which is unfortunate.
All right. So Zimbabwe, Lesotho, how are you going with that? Because surprisingly, both of them on 2 points. I'm going with Lesotho to take that,
I am taking them as well. Lesotho to take it.
I think they're going to take it because I saw them against Nigeria, and
you're going to say that. And I was getting ready for my comment, JD. But just a reminder,
I am impressed. I'm impressed with them. So I think that they're going to cause Zimbabwe all sorts of problem. And this group is going to turn out into a chaotic group, because if they do take that over Zimbabwe, that puts them on 5 points, 5 points. So that in itself caused all sorts of chaos right there. Oh wow. So Lesotho, Zimbabwe. I'm picking Lesotho for that one, people. Wow.
For my Zimbabwean friends, I'm sorry, I can't support you here. And JD, I was gonna make a comment, and I will make this comment still. Nigeria gets up for Ghana and makes everyone else's front line look good. So
Hmm.
yes, so Lesotho looked good. Lesotho, they look good against Nigeria. South Africa looked good against Nigeria, but when it came to Ghana, they're like, no, 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 no. We have a message. So don't let
Well,
that
they
don't
ain't
let
gonna
that
forget
flip
that.
you.
No, no, no. I'm telling you, I watched them other games because I went back to really see how good they are. And
Mm,
a lot of these African teams are just coming through. They
they
ain't
are.
taking any BS. They ain't getting being walked over. They ain't capping. They are out here trying to win games, and I love that. It's not no sitting back and foolishness and talking about teams bigger than you. No, it ain't working. So Lesotho will teach Zimbabwe a lesson.
And this is why I agree with the sentiment that a lot of Africans have had, which is why did we only have 5 slots for the World Cup when like we have more sides that have to sit out the World Cup. I think that could do things than most. I think the middle class of Africa is better and is improving well. So I'm glad that with 48 they're at least up to 9. I would
Hmm.
have enjoyed 10 to 11, but I'll take the
Ooh,
9
God,
as
you want the entire Africa being in
no.
the World Cup, 10 to 11. What more you want? I
JD,
think
I
that's
want the world,
enough.
JD. I want the world. You know this. I like this. But okay, Algeria, Guinea. Algeria,
Another
Guinea.
good game.
Another good
Because
game.
I'm not so impressed with Algeria of lately. Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. I for some reason all of them seems like they have not hit their real stride, and Guinea will be a team to press to test them.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna get a draw in that game.
I think a draw is a good.
Algeria is a favorite, but I just have a feeling that Guinea has something to get from that game, and that alone cause like a goal from that game, and Algeria just not going to score the 2 goals. That should be the case, but I am not certain, and this is what I love about African football nowadays. It's not certain that these
Mhm.
teams just go over and punish the next teams.
I
Yes, so
agree.
Guinea, I am expecting something from Guinea right there,
Mhm.
1000%.
No, I agree. I agree. Other game that is in points for Ghanaians: Madagascar versus Comoros. It's always the small sides that Ghana just never plays up to. So if you think if you see a game and you say, "Oh, Ghana should win this 2-0," they're gonna win. They're gonna lose 1-0 on a
What?
goal in the 40th minutes, and then they just won't be able to hit the target on anything. This is the Ghana way. This is what we do. Okay. There's black stars. No, 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 no. Just blank goals, blank. But I think that's an interesting matchup of small teams. But Nigeria, South Africa,
Nigeria,
Nigeria,
South
South
Africa.
Africa.
South Africa, based off what I've seen, they are a home based team. That's what they're trying to run off. And,
Yeah,
and
they
I
ran
was begging to
basically.
God that they don't win, because I don't want Jamaica to take that same mentality going forward. And they never
Yeah.
won it. So I am very, very glad they never won it. But we saw them against Nigeria as well, right? And
Mhm.
we have to be honest. They were better than Nigeria, right? We have to
Yeah,
be honest. They were better than Nigeria. Yes,
everyone
they were
looked
better
good
than
against
Nigeria.
Nigeria,
So
JD.
oh, yeah, I
Everyone
don't
looked
care
good
about what
against.
you're saying. I am telling you what I am saying. As I said, I'm non-biased. You are biased.
I
Yes.
am. You will not get those words. I am being objective. Everyone looked
No,
better than
no.
Nigeria, but Nigeria scored the goals. They did. Okay.
Well. I'm telling you, in that game, South Africa did look better than Nigeria. That is just a fact. They did look better than Nigeria. So I am expecting Nigeria to go back with the 3 system, just to get that stability and try win some more in midfield. You have NDD and those guys coming back. So
Mhm.
that in itself add more steel in the midfield. So the approach for maybe the whole problem that they had in midfield, maybe that was a problem causing them to make everybody looks good, because they
Mhm.
never had the back 3, and then they've never had midfielders at the same time. So no, they might have the option for the back 3, but also have 2 solid midfielders, Onyeka and NDD, piloting Iwobi, would look completely different with 2 big striker. Now you'd have Osimhen, and then you'd have my boy there again, from Leverkusen, being
Yeah.
there. So it would be completely different. So you don't have to rely on those little flimsy wing plays, because sometimes Moses them look too slight and stuff. You need big, strong players them that wants to fight for something. So I think you could see a different style because they have learned from the Afghan. To be honest, going forward, and maybe they might smoke South Africa here, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, it could be. How do you think Nigeria's going to do with George Finindi coming in as the new coach?
He might can resonate to them a little bit better, but that's about it. I think it's all down to the players them. It's all down to the players them, my brother. All down to the players them.
Well then, tell the federation don't pick 19 strikers and expect to play one at CDM. Okay, don't do that.
Well,
but I think this game ends in a draw. Ultimately, I think Nigeria got the win, but I think South Africa won't have an issue with being able to match them there, even though the talent is more there. I think South Africa's squad is a little bit better. The second matchups are interesting. You have Nigeria been in on the 10th. You have Kenya, Ivory Coast, which is kind of intriguing to me.
But Africans, I've not given my prediction. Oh, are you guys? Oh God, you're just rushing. You know what?
No, JD. No, JD. No. We haven't come to the end. I said I was going to go over.
We have come to the end of the show. We have come to the end of the side of the show. But I'm going to give my prediction.
But I want your predictions, JD. I want your predictions.
All right. Yes. Stop up to. We have come to the end part of the show. But African's not going to take away my predictions to give his prediction alone. All right. Yes. For me, I think Nigeria will be beating South Africa this time, and they are going to look better than before. They might not look the complete best team on the day, but South Africa was a good distance better than Nigeria in that game. So I'm going to go with it's very much even on the possession side, but Nigeria winning it 2-1, and the Nigerians are back in full effect. Go ahead now, Big Boss. Go ahead.
JD,
thanks for my prediction.
Yeah, I appreciate your predictions. JD, I'm going to say this one thing. There's one thing Nigerians and Ghanaians have in common. It's we expect these big results, and then when we struggle for 1-0, So I hear you.
Stop trying to project your little night in Ghana problem that you have that can't win a game. Nigeria is bad, but worse off than what they should be. They should. The last time I've seen Nigeria against Ghana, it's a fake penalty that they gave in the Ghana. That's what I'm telling you. I was watching the game, and it's a penalty up at the other end, and they said, okay, Ghana not doing anything on the field, so let me just give them an opportunity to come in the match and let we keep that little rivalry going. So I'm gonna call you out, Africans.
JD?
All right. Yes, go ahead, sir.
They're not going to look good. They're playing teams. Both sides are playing sides that aren't afraid of them, and I think that's where you have to accept that. I think from Ghana's perspective, it's they've not looked good, and from South Africa's perspective, it's they've looked good against Nigeria, but just didn't get the result. So I think both sides ultimately. I don't mind your prediction. I think a draw is more realistic there, just because. I don't know what to expect. At least with Ghana, like they've had 2 games with the coach since coming back, and you have an idea.
And who are those 2 individuals?
The 2 Otto Addo came back, yeah, and they lost to Nigeria. Yes, they lost to Nigeria. I want to make sure everyone see. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say we lost. Okay, what the 13th time ever we lost to Nigeria? Good times, good times we've had.
Okay. Just asking. Just asking.
JD, this is the worst Ghana I've seen in my life. Okay?
I know.
This is pain. I'm familiar with this pain, but still. But no, ultimately, I think South Africa will put up a good fight because I think their team will be a little bit more gelled than Nigeria's. Because with Nigeria, I don't know how this coach is going to be able to put together the talent that they have. Boniface is back, right? Leverkusen 9 is back. Though I think he's probably one of their better creating 9s. So if you put him out wide in a flat 3, I think he could create. well enough for
Yes, 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 yes,
Osimhen
yes.
and co. So I think
And
that works for them.
open up the space of Osimhen
Mhm.
changes everything. You understand me? Open up the space of Osimhen changes everything, and that's the difference because you just want him to get some space, and you pretty much have no chance because
No,
he's a
agreed,
big
agreed.
dog around the place, But anyways, let we
This
continue.
man, this man, this man. So just to cover the last games from stage 4, Nigeria Benin is a good matchup. I think I will definitely keep
No,
an
it's not
eye
going to
out.
be Africans. Stop making no Benin. Nigeria will be a solid 6-0.
Okay.
Boniface and Osimhen will feast on those teams. Yes.
You do this every time, JD. And then when they
No.
struggle, then on your stream, JD, then you're on your stream saying, what a miss. What a miss. I can't. Just put
No.
the ball in the net. Why you
That's the
selfish
gift.
player? Selfish player.
That,
You could have just crossed. You could have crossed him, but no, you just took a shot. This is what you sound like every stream, JD. Every stream.
well,
I will watch
Benin,
from my heart.
Benin will feel the wrath of Nigeria. I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
window, Nigeria will be back up there in the top echelon of the group. It will happen.
Of
It will
shots
happen.
of
I think so.
shots of shots generated, of big
Yes,
chances
but
missed,
they
of
always had
things.
that. They always had that. But other teams, we have to say, Rwanda, they have not played them as yet, but they're gonna slap up
No,
Rwanda when they do face them. But South Africa will cause a problem. And Lesotho, and Zimbabwe played good football. They played good
mm,
football. To be honest, and remember, Nigeria never had some of their players as well for that game. And once you have that goalkeeper in your goal, you are able to lose every game that you should be winning. Yes, I am very sorry. I am not hyped with a goalkeeper. I love the fact that they changed him and brought over a completely different one. It just looks
mm.
completely different because he was always a problem for a while.
Oh, true. I'll give you that. I will give you that much. But Congo, Egypt, Guinea Bissau, and then those two. I think of that last chunk of games. I think those would be the ones I'd watch. Um, from a general standpoint, because with no stakes in it, because I think those might be my more fun games to watch and just enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Ghana versus Central Republic. I hear it now, JD. So just to let you know that I'm being fair and non-biased, the Ghanaian
Mm-hmm.
in me says they should win that 2-0. How will they win this game? Here's what's going to happen. They're going to be scoreless until the 92nd minutes. There will be a scramble in front of the nets. Someone will come in that we've been complaining about as to why they haven't produced for the national team, will come in and score the goal, and we will all be happy. This week's version of that, I think it's going to be Fatawu, who's currently playing at Leicester City. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's going to be the player that we're all going to complain about and say, he's not scoring for the national team. What's the problem? And then he'll win the game at the death in the 92nd minute, because that's how Ghana games go these days. We don't beat anyone, we escape. That's all we do.
All
This is going to
right,
be
all right.
I can't wait for the comments. Like, man, this man needs joy in his life. They've taken it from me. Okay, they took it from me. I'm looking for joy.
We're gonna have we're gonna have some good build-ups because next week what we're gonna do next week, Africans, is to
Mhm.
watch all the performances of the players and then bring it back and chop it up from that standpoint. So
Yes.
we know exactly who is on form coming in. Obviously the coaches, as you said, some of the coaches are just not good, federations are not good. We understand that. But overall, I think that is good. So we can, invest more time to it. So I'll have to say thanks very much for everyone that showed up. I thought that this was a good one. Please subscribe, people, because we are going to go into the World Cup stretch, which I think we're going to have a lot of content coming through because we're going to have all of these confeds that we do talk on Africans. We have Africa coming through. We have CONCACAF right through it. So I guess you have to stop this one show a week. You understand me? Yes, because
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
10,000 games playing,
Yeah, well,
10,590.
I will. I know. No, we'll pick it up. Don't worry. We will pick up the frequency. We'll pick up the guests too, and we'll have. It won't just be the two of
Yes.
us here. So to get some more faces, some
I
more
am
perspectives.
hoping to see the next guest turn up. because I am going to exit myself if it's a guest that I can't bother with. So, who are the guests you have on your mind? Let me know. Good
Oh,
Lord.
I'll let
Who
you
you have
know behind the scenes. Behind the
behind
scenes.
the scenes? Oh my God. Lord God. Who is that he has? Oh God damn, make them come from different confed. Oh Lord, thank God.
From a different
Are they
country.
coming from different confed? Oh, no, but you're from Africa, confed. No, you're
Yeah.
from Canada. No, you're from you know what? Just get anybody you want, you know. Just tell me early that I can exclude myself.
Someone's gonna watch this and be like, "Why do they just laugh and talk to themselves? What's the inside joke?" There is none. We just laugh.
No,
We
no,
enjoy
no,
life. We
no.
enjoy life.
Africans trying to sell out the program, you know.
I'm not
He said he wants
so
60
the
more people on the
program.
platform, but
I don't
I
want
am not
JD.
it.
JD. It's not one of those streams. Okay, this is not one of those streams. Okay.
All right, all right. So,
Because then JD, then it'll be 5 a.m. for you, and we'll be talking about food for no reason. No, it's not one of those streams. No.
all right, boss. No problem. Once you get other persons, I have no problem. I will present myself with my information because I am going to give you. You know what? I'm gonna have a show. Maybe tomorrow. On Africa. I hope Africans have some time. I know he might be busy, but I am going to have a show. Deal with all of the upcoming games and players' performances, which I have a series starting. So tomorrow I'm going to dedicate some time for that specific. You know. So if
Which
Africans is not busy, I might
no.
find a way to get him there. But if not, I will run the stream and stuff, you know?
Yeah, because I think either this week or no, not next week, but maybe in a couple weeks, I think a conversation as to who is the best performing African player in Europe this year is a conversation we really do need to have, because I think
Yeah,
we sleep.
yeah.
I think there are names we see, but I think we sleep on consistency, and whether that's sub-Saharan bias or Northern African supremacy, whatever you want to call it. I think we do discount some players who play well consistently, but when a new one pops up, it'll be interesting. But we will have that conversation a little bit later as we go. But guys, again, thank you everyone who stopped by. Thank you on the rewatch. I do appreciate you guys. Make sure you leave a like, comment. Talked about Canadian men's national team friendlies. Talk about how Jamaica should look at their setup going into COPA America. We talked CAF World Cup qualifiers. We barely touched Champions League because
We will get back into it the next time. Anything we missed out on, we will get back into it, you know, because
congratulations
a
to
lot of
Team
contents,
X
you
for
know.
winning the congratulations to Team X for winning Champions League already, because it looks like they will. But we'll talk about that later. But until next time, guys, thanks for stopping by. I've been the West from the Africans. That's JD from the We Max It crew, the IMAX It family, and we just simply say goodbye for now.